Hey everybody! Today I wanted to do a review of the Amazing Spider-Man because I have seen it twice now. Saw it the day it came out and I saw it on Tuesday, so exactly a week after I saw it the first time. Anyway, it was absolutely amazing. It was really good, and as you may know, I am a huge Spider-Man person. So I remember when I first heard about this, I guess when they started telling people about it last year, I was actually pretty mad, because for me it was like, oh my god, the third Spider-Man was in 2007, so why would they start rebooting it now? Like, it just didn't make any sense to me, that it had only been 5 years to actually do a reboot. Plus, the first one was in 2002, so I always thought they'd remake one, I don't know, 10 years, whatever. Anyway, it seemed way too soon and just, like, complete cash grab, and I don't know. I was just mad, and it was like, oh, Toby's the only Spider-Man for me, blah, blah, blah. So, the verdict is that I loved it, and it was so good. Um, what can I say? I have to say that it's hard because I'm really debating. Well, it's hard because I don't think I liked it better than the first ones because I almost can't compare it because it's like comparing. It is just different. Like they did a completely different sort of twist on it. I I'll always like Spider-Man 1 and 2 because I just love them so much, and they got me into Spider-Man. But at the same time, it's like this one they did such a good job, so I have to really acknowledge that. Um, let's see. So, basically, I will go over some things. Before I say anything else, this is going to be full of spoilers. So please, if you haven't seen it, please don't watch this because I don't want to ruin it for you because nobody ruined it for me. Anyway, so, firstly, I want to talk about, the casting. Great casting choices, except for Sally Field. She's not Aunt May. That kind of bothered me, but, Aunt May is supposed to be old, frail lady, gray hair, they didn't really touch on that, so, like, I mean, they didn't do that, so that kind of bothered me. But other than that, I thought Martin Sheen was a good Uncle Ben choice. Andrew Garfield, excellent as Peter Parker. I really liked him. I love Tobey Maguire as Peter Parker as well. So it's almost like they're tied because the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man is sort of like nostalgic for me, but I thought this was pretty damn awesome. So I'm actually really excited about it because it's hard because I don't want to say it's better because I feel like my subconscious is going to beat me up, but it was really good. Emma Stone was really good as Gwen Stacy, I thought. I forget his name, the guy who was the lizard, Reese Iffens? Something like that, but I thought he was a good choice, for Dr. Connors. Um, anyway, so casting was really good. I love Andrew Garfield as a Peter Parker. I thought I did an excellent job. As far as the actual Peter Parker character, though, I'm kind of maybe siding with, the Sam Raimi version, just because they made Peter Parker a real dork in Spider-Man 1, 2, and 3. Like, for example, in the first movie, Tobey Maguire's Peter Parker, I mean, he's trying to catch the bus, and everybody's laughing at him. People are all laughing at him when he gets on the bus. Everybody makes fun of him all the time. He's just getting in a fight with Flash. He's just the complete loser. Like, his outfit, like, the clothes he wears, they don't look that cool. Like, he's just sort of nerdy. Anyway, but this one, Peter Parker wasn't a nerd, and that kind of bothered me, because I thought, he was nerdy, but for starters, I wrote a list down so I don't forget, there's a scene where Flash Gordon, wow, that's bad, Flash Thompson, sorry, how was I thinking that? Jeez. Flash Thompson is beating up another kid, and it's almost like, why isn't he doing that to Peter? That's supposed to be Peter that he's supposed to have on the ground, like, pushed into, like, a sandwich or whatever. It's like, what? And then Peter comes and defends him. He's like, put him down, Flash. And it's like, really? Aren't you supposed to be the kid that's being beat up? And someone else is supposed to tell Flash to not beat you up? So I thought that was a little weird. He is not wearing glasses, and, that was kind of odd to me. But he ends up finding his dad's glasses and putting them on. But still, he's supposed to be really nerdy, and he's supposed to be wearing the glasses. He was riding a skateboard, and the skateboard I thought was a little weird because Peter Parker, before he gets powers, is supposed to be like wobbly and not like he's totally dweeby and not balanced enough to do something like a I want to say a sport like that, whatever. Yeah, so that was a little bit odd to me. Because I remember seeing like stills a couple months ago, like where they showed Andrew Garfield like with a skateboard and his clothes are kind of cool, and I thought he kind of looks like this cool like Urban Outfitters hipster guy. I don't know. Peter Parker's supposed to be like completely like he. If you're to rank everybody in the school, he's the lowest, and he really wasn't in this movie. But then people are saying no, they're trying to do a modern version. Like he's still dweeby and nerdy, and he's like smart. Like yes, he was very smart, so they didn't obviously forget that factor about Peter Parker, but he just wasn't as nerdy and outcast as the other one. And I think that's maybe why I like the Tobey Maguire version, because it was almost more true to Peter Parker, but in this one it was almost, they didn't, he was still a good Peter Parker, but they didn't, it was more true to the comics, if that makes any sense. So yeah, I still loved him as Peter Parker, like he's fantastic, but there were a couple key Peter Parker things. Oh, and they weren't poor. I thought that was a little weird. You could tell, like, Uncle Ben was sort of blue-collar worker guy, and the Aunt May was working, but I thought, they're supposed to be super poor, but they didn't really play on that. So I'm thinking they might in the second movie, now that Uncle Ben is dead, and that Aunt May have to pick up other extra shift or something, and then they end up maybe not be able to pay rent, and then he'll have to work at the Daily Bugle, I'm hoping, because they didn't play up on that in the first one. He also, like, they did mention that he's a photographer, so I was happy about that, but it wasn't a factor in this movie, like, at all, really. There was a scene, obviously, where he's trying to take a picture of the lizard, but it wasn't, like, a huge deal. They didn't really talk about his photography at all. What else? The Gwen Stacy character I thought was good. One thing I thought was odd, though, was that he tells Gwen Stacy, I thought, way too early. Like, he tells her right away, like, on their first date, that he's Spider-Man. I thought that was a little bit strange, because in the other one, he's so focused on not wanting to get, like, loved ones hurt, so he doesn't tell anybody that he's Spider-Man until at the end, or in the end of Spider-Man 2, Tobey Maguire's Peter Parker, finally, it's sort of an accident that he ends up telling her. So, yeah, I thought that was sort of weird, because it was like, well, weird, because in the comics, Gwen Stacy doesn't know, ever, that he's Spider-Man. Anyway, whatever. So there were a couple things, like, Captain Stacy does die, and I also thought Dennis Leary did a really good job of that character. The Uncle Ben death. I was wondering how they were going to play that up, if he was going to sort of do the same thing as last movie, where he ends up doing wrestling, or doing some kind of show. They didn't do that, but they did make sort of a little reference to the wrestling, where he falls down and sees, like, a Mexican wrestling mask, and kind of gets inspired to make his own mask, so I thought that was cute, but I did actually like the way they did it. It wasn't the same as the comics, but they did a good job. With the whole guy, with the star tattoo, or this was his left hand, star tattoo, where he's trying to find him. I thought that was good, especially when he says, hey, stop that guy, and he says, that's not my policy. I thought that was good. Uncle Ben does not say with great power comes great responsibility, and I thought that was a little bit odd, because he did say it, but he was paraphrasing it, like, when you have such abilities, you gotta own up to them, or something. It was like, you're trying to say with great power comes great responsibility, just say it. You're allowed. It's a Spider-Man movie. And cripes, Stan Lee is in it anyway. I wish I loved Stan Lee's cameo, by the way. Awesome. Let's see. Lizard character. Lizard was really good. I thought the effects were really good. I really liked him as a villain, so that was awesome. I liked the whole Dr. Connors character anyway as well. I thought they did a great job. The effects in the movie were fantastic. I saw it the first time in Ultra AVX 3D, and that was, like, really good. They purposely shot certain things because it was like they were shooting it for a 3D audience, which was fantastic. I was very blown away. Let's see. The suit. It's better than the original trilogy, I have to say. The Spider-Man suit, like Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, he was more built, because of his powers. He was a little bit more buff. And the Spider-Man suit from Spider-Man 1, 2, and 3 was just pretty damn awesome. And this one, it was okay. It was almost more cartoony, even though the Raimi films were more cartoony themselves. But the suit's still cool. I still thought that they did a good job. Don't get me wrong. Let's see, I like the web shooters, because the original, the Spider-Man 1, 2, and 3, they were organic, and this time he actually built them, which I thought was fun, because I liked how they put that in there, because that's true to the story. As far as the actual, origin with his parents, I thought that was, really great. They didn't really talk about it later in the film, but, I know it will probably come up again, so that's exciting, because I really thought, that they did a good job with that. It made it a little bit more interesting. It was obviously a little bit darker than the Raimi films. And finally, the music. I'm a huge score buff. I have been for a long time. I think the first sort of score, if you will, that I ever heard was probably either this, I know it's weird, but the score from Yellow Submarine. There is a score to that. Or it was maybe The Nightmare Before Christmas, because I fell in love with that, because there are instrumental pieces in that, not just musical pieces. I thought it was great. The first time I saw it, I was a little let down, because I always thought Danny Elfman's score was better. However, James Horner did a really good job, and as I saw it the second time, and now that I have it and I've been listening to it a lot, the track Becoming Spider-Man is perfect, especially the main titles. Danny Elfman is still, in my opinion, the king of main title sequences, but James Horner did a phenomenal job. I've always liked James Horner because he's always had this eerie kind of, I don't know how to describe it, but the way he did the score to A Beautiful Mind, it was just really moving and dark. So I like that they got James Horner to do this, because it was just a nice change, because it had so many Horner sounds. Like, it was very like he uses Danny Elfman uses like choral a lot, but James Horner uses choral, but it's in a different way, and it's still spooky. So I was glad they kept it to be a little creepy and off, kind of like a Danny Elfman thing, and I really did like it. So I'm super happy that James Horner did an excellent job. I'm very stoked, because I'm enjoying it a lot more. One thing I know this is really nitpicky, but one thing that I was a little bit, sort of, just not my thing, I guess, with the score was, the trumpet effects, because it just seemed like it didn't fit. I know it's supposed to probably represent the hero, and the piano and the other effects are supposed to represent the darker side of him, and all his struggles, but it's sort of like, I don't know, I like the creepy part. I've always been more of a woodwind, sort of creepy choral effect person, as opposed to the brass. Unless it's French horn. French horn is really cool. Anyway, yeah, I'm really happy with everything about this movie. 10 out of 10, if not higher. It was very good. I hope to see it at least 2 more times in the theaters, because it was just so good. There's sort of, I mean, obviously I'm a little critical of things like, how he was a skateboarder, or how he wasn't as nerdy, but those are so minor. As a film, it was really good, and as a Spider-Man film, it was awesome. I'm so happy, because I was so worried about this movie, because I'm such a big Spider-Man fan. I was so worried that it just was going to let me down, and I was going to go, ugh, the Tobey Maguire one was so much better. But this one was really, really good. It was so good, and I'm almost tying it. I will officially tie it with the Raimi films, just because it was so good. Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man will always sort of be in my heart, and it's nostalgic because it got me into Spider-Man, but as a new trilogy, it's kick-ass. Kind of like Tim Burton's Batman. Tim Burton's Batman and Batman Returns were so good, but Christopher Nolan's Batman are pretty freaking awesome too, so yeah, that's all I have to say. Go see this movie. It's so good. And you know what? You've probably already seen it, because I told you not to watch it if you haven't seen this movie, or haven't to watch my review. Anyway, yeah, go see Spider-Man again and again. See ya!